Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. I think we'll just skip the ads for today, but remember that Alka Mortis is available for wishlisting, and there's other ways you could support me down in the description below. So today, I'm glad you could make it, Ninja Link, because we're working on your idea, which was to have a reagent, like a boss soul reagent that contains the abilities of the bosses that you defeat. So we're working on that. We actually started that in this morning stream, but we'll finish that. I'm going to take a break. I've been getting the tutorial done, so my tutorial guide is getting built out. I've added a bunch of different tutorial conditions, and so yeah, the way the tutorial works now is that there's a it's more of like a help system. So instead of there being a tutorial map and a separate tutorial flow, the tutorial is just going to explain things as they happen in the game, which was a suggestion that many of you made. So, for example, if I give myself some residue with my cheat command, and then I open this up, this will now prompt me to do a cell unlock. Now, the reason why it's prompting that one specifically is because I've marked all of the other ones as completed for the sake of testing. But just to recap, the way that this works now is that there's an ordered states list, and there's entry conditions, completion conditions, exit conditions, all this stuff. And basically what I do is I iterate over this list in order. I find the first one which has a true entry condition, and then that's the state that we enter. And so basically I'm able to prioritize the tutorial states. So, tutorial states that are earlier in the list are going to be triggered first, and then tutorial states that are farther down the list are going to be, triggered later. But they still have to meet the condition, right? So if there are 3 states that all meet the same condition, then the first state that appears in the list is the one that's going to be chosen. So anyway, I think this is working out a lot better as a tutorial thing. I don't have to maintain a separate tutorial run or anything like that. And I think it just makes more sense to just show the little tutorial guy contextually in the game as things are happening. But we're taking a break from that. We're going to work on the boss soul stuff, and I need to figure out a good way of debugging that as well. But before we get into it, hello, Jackie Daytona. Welcome back. Good to see you again. It's time for game dev once again. Yes, indeed. Hello, Clickertail. Welcome. Hello again, Ninja Link. I think I said hello, but that's all right. Hello, Arion. Welcome. Hello, Wooius. What's the new L-shaped card with stones on it? That is called Stone of the Ancients. And so Stone of the Ancients, this it applies 2 preserve per allied item to the right and to the left, and it projects the relic tag to allied items below. So it's pretty basic. But I think the flavor text is pretty cool. 1,000-year stones lie upon mountains of interred bones. Major celestial events are said to amplify the cries of the fallen therein. Gotta love it. Okay, anyway. Little creative writing exercises for the flavor text. So, the boss soul stuff. I think honestly, the biggest barrier to doing this boss soul stuff is just going to be figuring out how to actually test the boss fights. Run map generator. I'm gonna add a new debug setting and see if this works. Game/debug/total map nodes int add total map nodes 0. Private static read only string name game debug/total map nodes public static int get total map nodes if os.isDebugBuild as int. So we'll return null if the value is 0 or if we're not in a debug build. And then we'll do min is equal to game debug dot get total map nodes, min nodes. Bar debug map node count. And then var max is equal to debug map node count or max nodes, min max, min node count, max node count. All right, so the whole reason I did that is because now I should be able to like turn the map size down from that setting there. Hello, Emerson, welcome back. Good to see you. And it didn't work. And it didn't work. Run map generator 225. Eligible nodes, get minimum distance to know. Oh. Get, what did I call it? Get total map nodes. Not equal to null. Okay, let's try it again. Boss souls, yeah. So the idea is that when a boss gets defeated, it's going to give you a boss soul reagent, and that boss soul reagent is going to contain one of the boss abilities on it. And then you'll be able to place that ability onto a card of your choosing with the alchemy system. But the kicker is that it's going to be innate, meaning that it will not be able to be passed along to further alchemies, or it will not be able to be transferred onto another card. I need to get in the habit of saying items instead of cards now, because they're called items in the game now. Yeah, that was Ninja Link's idea, so that's actually, it's a really good idea because I think it leverages the existing game systems very well, and it's an extra reward for defeating a boss. And especially when I add more bosses to the game, and I add like elite enemies and stuff, I think that this is going to be a system that is like really intriguing. So yeah. But anyway, there's our little tutorial guy. Defeat this boy. And then I don't have any art for this yet, but here's the base. So it gave me the fire ability again, which is a little bit concerning, but that's okay. So the idea that I'm doing with this is I think there will be boss souls of different sizes. And so this is the large boss soul. And the size the size will be randomly chosen, and then the size will determine maybe how many of the boss abilities get added to the card. I'm still kind of trying to think about that. It's either going to change. I mean, just changing the soul sizes alone is kind of interesting because obviously, if I get a large boss soul, that's going to make alchemizing it onto certain things a little bit harder. But if I get a small boss soul, for example, I will have more opportunities to put that on other cards of different sizes. So I think just varying up the soul size is a good idea. And I may also change like how the querying works for each soul type. So it may be that the small soul only adds the ability to like an adjacent card, and it may be like a medium soul might do like only cards on the bottom row or something, and then the large soul can apply it to every card on the board. Something like that. So anyway, we got the boss soul, and I put this onto the skeleton here, and then the skeleton we get out has that innate ability. Innate abilities cannot be transferred to other items via alchemy. Okay, and I'm just going to make sure this works too. So if I do the candle with the skeleton, I should retain the innate ability. Yeah. Cool. So that system is basically working. And so I think it's just a matter of like, Well, I do want to give it another try, actually, because I'm a little bit worried that it's choosing the... Both times I've tried this now, it's chosen the project fire, so I don't know if it's properly randomizing the abilities that it's choosing. But let's see. Hello, V. Welcome back. Good to see you. How are you doing? Alrighty. The other thing I'm not sure about either is like this whole choose only one. Okay, innate, apply 8, preserve. Very good. Cool. All right, so that is working. Now let's do the art, I guess. Create state machine context. What the heck? Oh, something's breaking. I don't know. Unable to start. Is that errors that are happening on startup? Well, it doesn't matter. I think there's some things that are buggy because the map is so small here, but that's all right. That's all right. Alrighty. So I guess we'll do some art for this. Boss soul large, here we go. I was also thinking, should I go over the top and should I like animate this item, the boss soul item, with a shader or something? But that might be, like I said, a little bit over the top. This is going to be probably a little bit difficult. How in the world am I supposed to draw a soul now? I almost wonder if I should take a different approach to this. I have no idea how to draw a soul. I'm almost thinking like maybe I do something like this. I don't know. I don't have any creative ideas for this. Well, we may have to not do the art. I mean, I guess that's okay. And the problem is, though, what do I actually do with this? I'll just try to fill in some stuff, but yeah, I don't think this is going to turn out well at all, actually. How in the world am I supposed to draw a soul? Yeah, this is not going to work. Okay. Well, I need to figure out what the heck to do about that, so I guess we'll scratch the art for now. Hello, Fridex. Welcome, welcome. Boss souls can be an interesting shop option. Yeah, it could, actually. If a certain boss doesn't appear in a run, then the shop may have a chance to list it. The bosses can have multiple abilities, right? It would be cool if you could choose the output somehow, like the weapon souls and dark souls. That's an interesting idea. So we could assign maybe each ability a different like query parameter or query behavior and say like cards on the bottom edge of the board get this ability and cards on the whatever, you know, so on and so forth. That could work. I'll have to think about that. I almost wonder if maybe instead of trying to draw like a soul like that, I don't know. Like I'm almost thinking, what if it was... What if it was like a vial or something instead? So do like a vial like this. We do this. That's not right. That's not right either. How am I supposed to do this symmetrically? I don't know. I guess art is failing me this evening. That's okay. We'll figure out something else. Why does that look weird? It just looks off. I guess that looks better. Well, whatever. That actually doesn't look terrible. That doesn't look terrible. Guess I can't do that. Okay. It's difficult to set your is it difficult to set your project up to support pixel art nicely? I work in 3D, but I have a difficult time understanding pixel art. Does it just render at a small resolution? Hold on one second. Does it just render at a small resolution and you blow it up full screen to play? Does it scale well? Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, there's a couple of different ways you can scale pixel art for sure, but Yeah, the way I have it is like the canvas resolution is 640 by 360. And so I just draw everything proportionally to that resolution, and then everything just gets scaled up. You can do fancy stuff like integer scaling and whatnot, but so the thing about pixel art is that in order to scale perfectly, it needs to scale by whole integers. So the reason why resolutions like 640 by 360 are chosen is because those are even multiples of the common resolutions like 1920 by 1080. So what is it? 640 by 360 is 3 times the a 3x multiplier gets you to 1920 by 1080 evenly. So if you don't scale by even integers, then what you can end up with is like pixels. Some pixels are differently sized than other pixels, so it can make your art look a little bit weird, but I think if the resolution is sufficiently large, that's not too noticeable. But yeah, for the most part, it's easy. It just scales right up. For the most part, it's easy. I'm going to try this approach instead. Let's try this. So I guess we can kind of make it look like it's, you know, trapped in a jar. So maybe something like that. Unfortunately, we're getting to the edge of the canvas here, but that's all right. I don't think that we need a different cap for that. No cap. It's kind of hard to draw things at an angle like this. Let's do something here. Phylactery jar or something. Let's see, can we get some inspiration here? I don't know how to cap off the jar. And none of these are helpful. Okay, well that's all right. Thanks for the explanation. IDK was having such a hard time setting that up in Unity before I switched to Godot. Yeah, I've heard that setting up like pixel art scaling in Unity is a little bit wonky. In Godot, it just works like out of the box. You just configure the right settings and that's it, right? So I do think that there's something about Unity that makes setting up pixel games a little bit less straightforward, but that's just what I've heard. I don't have any experience in Unity in particular, so. Maybe we'll just do something simple. I wonder if we did like thicken this. Actually, we could make this look kind of cool. We could do like... I know this is green, but we'll figure that out later. So something like this may work. I don't know. I'm just kind of like playing around with this. Okay, so maybe something like that. And then do I want to do something like... Well, I think it's looking cooler now. Doesn't need to be... Like I could just make stuff up, you know what I mean? It's just art, it just needs to look cool. Okay, so we've got the soul in here. Let me see. Wonder if it would make more sense to use orange here instead. Maybe? I mean, we're getting there. We're getting there. Wonder how this game would look with DLSS 5 on, yeah. Maybe a tip like a glass ampule has. A glass ampule, I don't know what that is. Oh, I see. Yeah, that could work. Maybe I'll do that for one of the smaller boss ones. Trying to decide, do I want to add even darker? Probably make use of this somehow. Yeah. I mean, we're getting there. I mean, I think it's probably fine. It's probably fine. I mean, how are you all feeling? I mean, is it looking decent, or what do you think? Once we do the ribbon here. Flickertail likes it? All right. I don't know about these parts. Let's see. I'll just delete that. But maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, I think that looks better. Yeah, that looks fine. Trying to decide if I want to, maybe I want to thicken these up. That the soul? V doesn't like it. Looks alright, looks more like a fire than a soul. Yeah, I don't know how, I mean, if you have suggestions for how to draw a soul, I'm all ears, because I don't know how to draw a soul. I literally don't have any ideas for how to draw it, like, other than doing, like, some kind of wispy thing, but wispy things are hard. Especially with this color palette, like, I can't do transparency or anything. Hello, Asymmetrics, welcome back. Good to see you. For me, it's more so the color. We have 8 colors to choose from. What color should it be? Wispy things are hard indeed. I mean, I could just... Let me think about this. Let me think about this. Looks like a fetus, but nicely. Color looks like it's flesh in there. I mean, we could change... I mean, does just changing the color help? Well, I don't know. Make it look like the souls from Soul Eater. They're visually appealing to me, at least. Yeah, I mean, the problem, though, is, like, I can do that shape if I'm looking at the right thing. But the reason why those look nice is because there's a glow effect on them. I can't do glow effects. Good morning to you, Moneybags. Oh, that's much better, actually. I like that more, TBH. Yeah, color helped. Soul as orb is overdone. Now it looks more wispy and less like... Okay, alright. Alright. Okay. Well, let's just see what this looks like in game, I suppose. I have to come up with an interesting name for this as well, because it just says Boss Soul Large, but that's alright. Blue is much better. Good. I found a word Google doesn't censor. Well, there you go. I mean, I think, to be fair, I think you spelled it wrong, so maybe that's why. Thinning out the neck, I liked. Boss Essence. Boss Essence, okay. Well, I'm gonna have different sizes, right? So, we could just use the typical Grand Boss Essence. I don't know if boss is the right word, though. Like something else that's maybe more thematic than boss. I mean, we could just call it Grand Soul Essence or something. But now we're getting close to Grand Soul Gem from the Elder Scrolls games. Spelled it wrong on purpose just in case. There you go. Well, there you go. Great minds. Maybe we call it like Grand Sanctified Essence or something like that. Because like the heroes of the enemy faction, they're like, you know, they're like holy heroes. It's like a... you know, you're playing as the dark occult necromancer who's dabbling in like forbidden magic, right? And then the enemy faction, you know, they're the ones that are oriented towards like holiness and virtue and stuff like that. So something that reflects that is what I'm after, but gulped that vodka without flinching, yeah. Well, I don't know, can I talk about this on YouTube? Unfortunately, I think liquor is out of the budget for the foreseeable future, but there you go. If you want to overscope, you can make one for each boss. Well, that's why I like Ninja Link's suggestion, is that, I know you're talking about the art, but it's just like this system will just automatically absorb the boss abilities, and so I don't really need to do anything special, right? I thought the card would say soul of boss name here to indicate the person you killed. That would be a little bit challenging to do. Because we have to consider that this card is going to show up in the unlock screen as well. So I have at least one conditional situation where I can't show the soul of the person you absorbed because it's going to be shown in a context where that just doesn't apply. I could do that. I mean, I could probably work around that. The other problem is that this display name is being read from the card definition resource. And I think currently the card definition, let me see. Card definition resource. So this card definition resource, these are just shared by reference, so I can't change the display name directly on there. So if I wanted to change the display name, let me see. So here's all the places where the card display name is used directly. I suppose what I could do is potentially just override it in the places where it matters. So I could store, maybe I could store some metadata on the card itself and then account for that metadata whenever I'm displaying the name in certain situations. But I think that's a little bit too technically difficult. I mean, let me think. How would I even do that? So here's what I could do. Let's call it large soul. Oh, this is going to be a problem anyway. If I look at the unlocks menu, this is going to look really weird. I didn't even think about the unlock menu for this. Let me see. No AI assistance? I mean, I have Copilot and Claude and stuff, for sure. Welcome, Limbo Delivery. Let's see. So if I go to my unlocks here, large soul. So that needs to change. I mean, should I even show the souls in the unlocks menu? What do you guys think? Like, because I wanted this screen to be a list of all the cards that you could potentially acquire. But the problem with this soul here is that this ability is just, it doesn't have a proper description. So I would need to change the ability. I mean, I should be able to do that. Let me think about this. Good evening, the malicious rabbit. Got my game's playtest update uploaded on my itch page. Got all the basic functionality I want in the game with 5 classes. Such a long way to go, but I'm happy that I have a prototype. Awesome, congratulations. Have you got any playtesters yet? If you're in the Discord, you can absolutely feel free to share your playtest in the game dev channel in the Fire Belly Discord. I'm sure there will be a couple of people, at least in the server, that would try it out for you. Indentured Soul. Yeah, that's a good one. Indentured Soul. Interesting. Let me try something here. Boss Soul Large. Dummy ability is alchemizable equals false. I may want to make this a required override there. Description function. Let me see. Absorbs a random ability from a defeated boss. This can just be the dummy ability here. But then when I go to my combat configuration here, alchemy added ability. So we're going to change this. So we're going to do reward.clear composed abilities. Alchemy added ability is equal to new alchemy added ability. Chosen ability. We don't need this anymore. Cannot implicitly convert to database card. Oh. Reward.add composed abilities. Alchemy added abilities reward. Okay. Alrighty. So let me just see if that fixes the unlock screen issue, and then we'll investigate whether we can change the name of the soul, the name of the card or not. Let me think about this. I think it should be doable enough. I have to consider the save system as well. But let's do unlocks. Large soul, innate absorbs a random ability from a defeated boss. Okay, so that's fine as a description there. Let me just make sure the actual reward is working too. Add item, boss soul large. Not yet, just dropping in a few discords and sending it to friends. Awesome. Large soul of an X living. Your opinion on Claude Code? I saw ads for it and I've been kind of using it to help debug weird code errors and honestly decently impressed. Claude Code is absolutely amazing. I am routinely shocked at how well it does things, particularly in my game with my code base. I've been using it a little bit more frequently to help me plan like re-architectures. Because the thing that's holding me back from doing a lot of the re-architectures that I'm doing in my game is I'm just worried about breaking existing systems. And what I find that Claude is really good at is it's good at analyzing the whole code base and tracking which situations are going to be affected by a refactor. So using that gives me a lot more confidence when I'm going to refactor something, because I know while I'm planning with Claude that, or I'm not know maybe, but I have a good amount of confidence that when I'm doing the planning with Claude, that it is considering all of the places where this would affect and considering all the edge cases. And so that's been extremely helpful as well. And then of course for like refactors, I had to do a refactor the other day. Some of you were watching the stream where I had to go through all the ability description strings and change any instance of the word card to item or items. And I was doing that manually at first and everyone was complaining. So, so I just had Claude go in and do all the string replacements for me, and that was super helpful as well. So yeah, I think it's a very good tool. And I'm happy to be using it in those cases where I'd otherwise be doing something that's a little bit risky of a change, or stuff that's like rote that is just going to require manual effort from me but no thought, you know what I mean? Also, Claude was really helpful in writing some tool scripts for me. So I have this ability description exporter here. I basically told Claude to write a tool that would grab all of the card ability descriptions and put them in a giant list for me so I can read them. And it basically just like one-shotted this tool for me. So stuff like that is really useful for. What headphone do you use? I don't remember what they are. I've had these for like 6 years. Any agentic coder could be good if you're good enough to know when it's messing up. Yeah. Yeah. So I use Claude plan mode for the most part, because sometimes it does create a plan where it does miss something, or it does something in a way where I'm like, I don't really know if that's the right way to do it. Like, it could be simplified, right? So it definitely helps to know what you're doing when you're using those kinds of tools. Okay, I don't know why I gave myself that. Add item God mode. Okay. Agentic good word. What engine we are in? We are in Godot. Welcome, the Mad Dog Project. Good to see you. It might not be the best answering broad questions, but just like any other AI, as long as you know how to ask the question, pretty good at giving answers, or at least ideas. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan. Big fan of Claude. It's working pretty good for me. But we shall see how that continues. Cool. That's 20 damage right there. Dang. I'm a Unity dev, never really messed with Godot before. Some of my colleagues dabbled in it. Yeah, I personally love Godot. I mean, I don't have much experience in other engines though, so. But Godot is like, it's like the right mixture of lightweight and powerful. You know, like you hear about lightweight engines or frameworks and it's like they expect you to do all this work manually yourself. Whereas Godot is very lightweight, but also it just comes packed with functionality. And so I like that a lot. And plus the way of constructing scenes with the node systems is very intuitive to me. I think that would be, so I had experience, like I knew about graph theory before I used Godot. And so just getting into Godot, which is basically like, hey, you've got a tree, and a tree is graph theory, right? It's got children, it's got connections, whatever, descendants. It was just very intuitive for me. Awesome. Depends on the project. Unity and Unreal are equivalent of killing an ant with a nuke. Yeah. Hello, Eto. Welcome back. Welcome, welcome. So now we got to figure out if we can change the name of this card. So I think what I can do, if I go to base card, public, no, not temporary tags. Do I want this to, why is this public? Oh, I see. Well, we'll just do public string display name, private string display name override. We'll just keep that null. Display name override card definition dot display name. Okay, so now I need to find all these references here. I think the only place where I'm going to change this right now is I'm just going to change it here. I'm not sure. Do I want to change it anywhere else? I want to change it here. Change it there. Change it there. Basically, anywhere the display name is going to be presented to the player, although there are some places where that's not necessarily the case. Grants the following card, card.displayname, that's fine. I'm doing well, how are you doing? Yeah, I love Godot. I tried Unity and Unreal Engine, and I prefer it for sure. Plus, Godot is only getting better every update. And the icing on top is no royalties if you end up making a hit. Yeah, that's definitely true. That's definitely true. Hello, X-Jokes. Thank you for the 100 bits. Very much appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. New on Twitch, but I've been watching for a while on YouTube. Nice to see progress coming along with the game. Thank you. Yeah, welcome. Good to see you. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so I think that's gonna work. So now what I need to do is I need to be able to set the display name override. I'm also gonna need to save that. So if I go to my base card. Okay, so to save model, let's do a new card model. Let's do JSON property display name override. Okay. From save model. I think that works. Okay, so now we just need a way of setting the display name override. Okay, and then in my combat configuration, This is going to break if I ever have multiple legendary cards on the enemy board, but that's okay. Well, shall we see if that works? I gotta test it with the save system as well. Let's just delete my old save. There we go. Each their own. Like I said, it's 100% project dependent. I've heard that Godot is perfect for starters and solo devs, whereas Unreal and Unity are really strong for a larger team. Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not expecting any like Assassin's Creed games to be made in Godot anytime soon, but I think for indies or, yeah, solo developers, I think it's perfect. Because you're not going to be creating these super massive, you know, high visual fidelity games anyway as a solo developer. Although there is that guy making the Road to Vostok, but I guess you could make the argument that that's not... I mean, it's visually impressive for the Godot engine, but it looks like 2013 DayZ, right? So it's not like a technical marvel, right? But it is, you know, a vast 3D game being made by, I think, a solo person. On a different note, I'm loving your coding style. It's the cleanest I've seen in streams in a long time. Oh, thank you. What's your experience title, if you don't mind me asking? Yeah, I mean, I was a software engineer for a long time out of college, and I did that for like 7 years full time. And then my previous job, I was at a startup just doing SaaS stuff, full stack. As startups go, it ran out of money, and I had some money saved up, so I said, well, I might as well just try to make game development work as a career. So that's where I'm at right now. So yeah, but I'm big on code cleanliness. I don't do a perfect job of it, but my primary goal when I'm writing code is to make it readable as much as possible. "2013 DayZ was not bad." Oh no, it was not. I was I poured many hours into that game. I poured many hours into that game. I don't recall the game's name, but there's a high-level CRPG that's being made with GD script. Oh, interesting. I don't know. Yeah, I would love to see that. They've had a few talks. Congrats, dude. Really impressive. Thank you. Appreciate that. Which language do you use in Godot? C#. C#. All right, let's see if this works. Any bets on if it's going to work? Soul of Marshall Holt. Look at that. Put that there. We'll let the game save. So this game has been saved, I hope. We'll go in here. We should be able to see Soul of Marshall Holt. Look at that. So now if I reload the game, that should just work. Oh, but it didn't save the ability. Ah, interesting. I wonder if that's broken. So I gotta figure out how to save that ability. Is that broken for... Hold up a second. Oh, it didn't store any of the abilities. Oh, I wonder if I never accounted for that case. Oops. So there's another case where this could happen. Think about this. Let me see. I may not have accounted for that with the giant mushroom spore either, so we may be going on a little bit of a tangent here. Absorbs a random ability from an adjacent item to the right. So we put the giant mushroom spore there. Adds the following ability as a guaranteed alchemy output to allied items. So we put that there. We close this. Let's take a look at the save file. Yeah, it's not saving its absorbed ability either. Alrighty. That's going to be fun. Why is that not working? So something about my ability provenance must not be working, but I don't know if we need to go into that just yet. To do giant mushroom, spore, and boss souls are not persisting. So we'll just log that so I can address that. Anyway, we don't have to let that bog us down necessarily. I'll post the video in the Discord if I can find it. Awesome. Yeah, I'll check that out. Thank you for sharing that. All right, so I want to introduce a couple of other boss soul shapes, I think. I mean, do I want to do that? Let's see. I mean, what do you think? Should there be different shapes of the boss souls? So my original plan was, well, this is building off of Ninja Link's idea, obviously, but the original plan building off of Ninja Link's idea was to have different boss soul shapes. So I have one that's a 2x2, I could have one that's a 2x1, so the same dimensions as the skeleton, maybe one that's a 1x1. That just adds a little bit more variety to the types of boss soul that you'll get. And that variety is good because it will change what you can do with the alchemy, right? So obviously if I've got a large boss soul, doing this kind of alchemy is not going to work because I don't have room for this card. So the large boss soul is really only going to be able to go on little cards. Whereas if I had a boss soul that was a 1x1, then I could do it like this, you know what I mean? But I could also see an argument where we just keep the 2x2. How does one get to your skill level of game developing? Time. That's basically it, time. I've been doing game development in some form or another since I was 14 years old, and it wasn't until like the past 3 years that I actually got, I would say, relatively competent at making games. Like it's only been like 3-ish years since I started really trying to do my own pixel art, and you know, it just takes a long time. It just takes a long time. A lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of practice, and it's frustrating at times, it's demoralizing at times, but if you stick with it, I think you could develop the skills, for sure. Started learning on Godot, but I find it hard to stay consistent with school and stuff. Yeah, I mean, and you know, if you're in school, you're probably young, so my advice to people who are getting like a little bit intimidated by game development is like, just give yourself some patience, right? Go easy on yourself. Just have faith that if you continue to work consistently, even if you're just doing small amounts of time here and there, that you are going to get better at it. And you just need to be patient, right? You need to be a little bit forgiving of yourself when, you know, you spend hours on a problem and you don't get anywhere, or when you spend, you know, 2 hours working on some art and it doesn't look right. Like, that stuff is going to happen, and it's going to happen a lot, and you just have to keep practicing. My biggest thought is how punishing this is for large cards, even with a Lotus. Oh yeah, Death Orchid. The 3x2 or 2x3 won't be able to use a 2x2 soul. Yeah. Don't let him fool you. The trick is to wear a wrist strap, and you automatically code like a professional. Yeah. What are you saying? Never mind to? Yeah, I think it is punishing. So I've been dealing with a constant issue in this game of like, how do I make large cards more appealing to use? And I just think that that's still a problem. Because the problem with small cards is that, I mean, the alchemy negative system is kind of at that level. So I think one of the reasons why like doing this is a 2x2 card is okay, because like, yeah, you're going to want to alchemize smaller cards together, right? So I'll just alchemize a bunch of small cards, right? But I've got this really powerful boss ability, right? So let's just see, I've got that negative ability. I drag this over here, drag that over there. Okay, so now I've got a skeleton. Skeleton is a relatively small card with a relatively low turn cooldown. It's got these 2 negatives on it. Do I really want to use this powerful boss ability on that? I mean, it's not going to add anything, but... and accrue even more negative abilities, right? So the negative ability system is kind of there to discourage the use of just slapping a bunch of things onto... why does this only have 2 negative abilities? Oh, no, never mind. That makes sense. So yeah, the negative ability system is kind of designed to discourage that. Is that turn cooldown not working? Increase turn cooldown by 2. Oh no, I think it is working. But I still think large cards are not super appealing. Took me about 2 years of full time for me to be happy with my problem solving, code standard, and troubleshooting. Yeah, it takes, you should be thinking on the timeline of years for sure. Large cards are only good for alchemy. I realize they can with an orchid, but getting them is harder the more reagents in the game. Yeah. I think this is all, yeah, this is, shoot. Well, it sounds like maybe we do want different boss soul sizes. I keep coming back to this idea. I'm wondering... yeah, well, this isn't necessarily a problem that needs to be solved now, but I think large cards are still not super appealing. So I need to figure out what to do about that, but... I mean, it could be something radical, like I just change my ability scaling system to scale based off of the size of the card. So on a 1x1 card, this might apply 1 fire, but it might, maybe that scaling is 1 fire per cell it occupies. So you get a 5 cell card or a 4 cell card, and it does 4 fire instead, right? So anyway, we can think about that, but I'm gonna go ahead and add the different boss soul sizes, and we'll just see how that feels. And then we'll go from there. If I need to remove all the other boss soul sizes, we can definitely do that, but we'll just do that to start, and we'll see how that feels. And everything's subject to change, so nothing's set in stone here. But anyway, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break, and then when I come back, we will go ahead and implement those other sizes. All right, I'm back. Sorry for the slight delay. The dog was tearing something apart, so I had to investigate what it was that he was tearing apart, but that's okay. It's all good. Okay. So we're gonna do different boss soul sizes. So let's create card creation tool. I think Bazaar did it well because interesting abilities usually landed on medium and large cards. Scaling could work, but I think it should be more simple. 100% for medium and reduce increase for small. And large cards by like 50%. That only works for damage though. Things like paralyze wouldn't scale at all with that. Yeah. I think that's kind of why I've been hesitant to do that. And the problem with putting more interesting abilities on large cards is that actually makes them even less appealing to use, because like you would just alchemize that good ability off the card onto something else, right? So I think this game would be simpler in a lot of ways if there was no alchemy system, but the alchemy system creates a whole system of incentives that are like a little bit hard to work with, a little bit hard to work around. So I think I almost need I just need to come up with a solution to that problem that fits within the context of my game. And, you know, I think maybe I can probably brainstorm some ideas about that. I'm making a lot of changes in a single commit here, but oh well. Need cool innate abilities for large cards. Yeah, maybe innate abilities is the way to do it. I'm a little bit hesitant to rely on that too much though, because I don't know, there's a part of me that just like, it kind of feels bad. Like, oh, you've got this alchemy system where you can mix and match abilities, but all the most interesting abilities you're not able to do that, right? So it's like, there's a part of me that thinks that maybe that would just kind of like defeat the point of the game to a large extent. But I mean, something like that might be necessary. I think the only places where I'm using innate abilities is like in the case of the boss soul, where it's basically like you can only put this on a card and then it has to stay on that card. I think that makes sense. I have an innate ability on the giant mushroom because it creates mushroom spores after every combat, which makes sense. It's like if you get rid of the mushroom, then there's no more spore generation, right? And then the other innate ability I think is the hellspawn egg, which again makes sense, right? It's like the egg is the thing that's going to hatch the imp. And if you wanted, like, it doesn't make sense to be able to alchemize that hatching ability onto a different card. You know what I mean? I love when people don't overthink it. Let me get lucky and have a broken AF build for a run. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a goal, right? Like, I'm definitely not trying to make it hard for the player to get something that's really powerful. But the problem is that when the most optimal way to play the game is to basically ignore the large cards, that's a problem I think that needs to be solved. So it needs to be solved in a way that doesn't reduce the player's ability to gain power. It just needs to be solved in a way where the incentives are such that like you actually have a real decision about whether you want to use a large card or a smaller card. I think that's the goal anyway. It's easier said than done, of course, but that's the goal. I might rename these later, but that's okay. Medium soul, this is a 1x2. This is a reagent, exclude from loot table. So I think the way to do this, isn't the copy abilities innate? Maybe I'm remembering wrong. I don't believe so. Let's look at the rat. No, this is not innate. So you can get the copy abilities on the other cards as well. Maybe it would be appropriate to make it innate for the scarecrow, but I'm not opposed to using innate abilities here and there. I'm just saying, like, if it's the case that like every large card has an innate ability, that might feel a little bit like, I don't know. It doesn't feel, I don't think that feels good necessarily, but maybe it does. I don't know. I have to think about it. All right, what am I doing? Oh, I need to go to the combat configuration. So var reward card ID is equal to new list card ID boss soul large boss soul medium. Okay, that should be it. Let's just do this in a more sensible way. Okay. I still don't know if I want to keep this in here. I might move this to a different class or something, but I think that's it. I looked away for a second, didn't realize the rain effect is screen space. Thought my screen was breaking. Oh, sorry about that. Your dev tools and especially card depth and resource workflow is extremely interesting to me as a new Godot user. Pretty inspiring stuff. Yeah, glad to help. Yeah, those. If you can take the time to learn how to make editor scripts, that's definitely very helpful. I've built all kinds of tools using editor scripts, and then with Godot, I think it was Godot 4.5 or 4.6, you can actually run the editor scripts directly from here. So I've got a bunch of code being generated by those editor scripts, like you can see here. If I go to my card ID here, I'm automatically generating a static card ID class with all of the IDs of every card in the game or every item in the game. And then I also have card constructors. Where is that? Card constructors here. So this is basically doing the same thing, except it's mapping all of the IDs to the constructor for that card script. So this would be a pain and also very error prone to maintain by hand. So I just made these generate as part of my workflow of creating new cards. And yeah, that's basically it. I was just thinking some cool and interesting ones could be used. There are very few large cards and they aren't required in the least for broken builds as of the last playtest. Yeah, that's true. How many cards am I up to now? It hasn't changed too much. $58 enemy cards and 92 player cards. So is that 150? $150. So we're about like halfway to the minimum number of cards that I want to have at release. All right, let's just go ahead and try this. Oops, I need to ignore the save file, I guess. Ignore save file. Here we go. So for those of you who are new to the game and are watching right now, this map is being generated very small. The real game map is much larger than this. I just have it generated small so I can reach these strongholds much quicker because this is where the boss fights are. So I have like, this is like 10% the number of nodes of the full map. Soul of Mayor Albrecht. Heck yeah, dude. And we might as well do a 1x1 version as well. Why is this happening? That's kind of concerning. $689. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out later. I don't know why that's erroring. I don't know if that's just because of the small map or what, but how long have you been coding this project? Did you have any estimated time for this type of game? Hello, Mr. Pecanful. I've been working on it for about a year, and the estimated time to develop this kind of game, or the estimated time when this is going to release. The reagent, exclude from loot table. Comment configuration, let's just put small. We could actually do a loot table for this instead of making these all equal weights. But we don't need to worry about that just yet. Both. Well, I think if I knew what I was doing, this game would probably be released by now. Game design is still something that as a skill I'm developing, so I probably went and spent a bunch of time developing systems and whatnot that ultimately got changed or just weren't built correctly from a game design perspective to begin with. So if I was a more experienced like game designer, this game would probably be done by now. But the game is going to be releasing this year. Like that is 100% for sure. And we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see what we're doing. So anyway, give me 1 second. I have to take this call real quick. Okay. So we've added all the boss souls. Okay. So I think, yeah, so that's going to be it for the stream today. I actually have to go and address that call that I just got. It's nothing bad, so don't worry about it. But I do need to spend some time addressing that. So, but yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. If you're interested, you can support the game by wishlisting it on Steam. That's linked below. And we'll do some more work on this boss stuff. Where do I have that? Boss souls, so that's done. Randomized boss soul size. Finish boss soul art. Okay, so we're almost done with that. Just got to finish the art. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. And I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern when I continue the stream. All right, take care, everyone. Have a good day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.